Morning, everybody. How you doing? Still morning? Yep, about a half an hour left. Um, some people seem to have some interest in my skateboard history, and it's one of my favorite parts of my life. I still love skateboarding. I just went to the local skate park, skated for about an hour last week. I'm almost 44 years old, and I'm still out doing that. It brings me joy. But I just thought I'd give kind of a quick history of my skateboard career to give some validation of what I talk about. When I was in sixth grade, actually no, let me go back. When I was in fourth grade, I had a friend named Jose. He was a foreign exchange student from Lima, Peru, and I lived in these condos across the street from the school, and we had these old cheap skateboards that they were just, they call them kind of like poser boards. Cheap wood, cheap wheels, not good or anything, and we didn't know what we were doing. But we thought it'd be cool to ride down with the house that I lived in, or the condo we lived in, the front door open, and it went down this walkway, right down this little stair set. It was like 4 or 5 stairs, and we thought it'd be cool, before I ever knew this was a thing, to jump off the end of the stairs and see if we could land. And we'd stay out there all day trying to just land. And I think Jose hit it, but I never was good at ollieing and jumping down the stair sets. I'm more of like a pool skater, transition skater. So I never really stuck with the going down the stairs and all that stuff. I'd just slam. But so that's where my skateboarding kind of started in California. It was in Valencia, California, near Magic Mountain, right off the 405, where the Getty Museum is, off to the left. If you're driving from Southern California to Northern California, if you're driving left, it's right up the hill on the left-hand side. You can always see the tram going, people going in, stuff like that. So that's where that was. We moved from there to Clovis, California, which is part of connected to Fresno, kind of like Minneapolis, St. Paul are two cities that are connected. Fresno and Clovis are connected, just a smaller area, right in the middle of the Central Valley, the San Joaquin Valley, where 50% of the world's food is grown. Picked up a Rob Roskop skateboard. He's a guy from Santa Cruz, from here, and where I spent a lot of time, even though I'm from Fresno, I spent a lot of time in Santa Cruz because I just liked the area, like the surfing, like the vibe, like the art and all that stuff. And so anyway, I got my Rob Roskop board, and we'd just ride all over town, do just practice skating. And I'd even ride my board to school in the morning. I lived a few miles away from the school, and I'd hop on my board and just skate all the way to school. That's one of the most fun things you can do, is just street skate and carve through the sidewalks and jump off the curb and grind the curb and just, have fun on your way to on getting somewhere. And I skated through 6th grade, and I pretty much hung it up around then. I would skate here and there. I still have my board. Actually, no, that board, I'm sorry, got thrown away. I left it at my friend's mom's house, and she threw it in the trash because I left it at their house. Instead of calling me and saying, hey, come get your skateboard, they just threw it away. So I've always wanted to get that board again, that Rob Roskop. And weird enough, the Rob Roskop board is a target. It's like a picture of a target, and it has like this robotic monster coming through. And each version of the board would be like, the very first one is him just cracking through the target, coming through, and then the next one is he's coming through a little bit more, and then the last one, he's all the way out, and you can see the monster, and he's got robot eye and all this different stuff, kind of like the transhumanism thing. So I got rid of that board, and then I didn't skate for quite a while. I just put it away. It just kind of went away, and when I was in the fire department, actually, at the 144th Fighter Wing, Fresno, California, I had become newly single during that time, and an old friend who was the bass player and the manager, basically, of this band called Small Town Killer, which now that I look back, they had one of their symbols was like the neighborhood watch symbol guy. And anyway, the bass player was a buddy of mine from school, and he was out there, man. This guy used to climb up to the top of the backstop at school. He'd get people to give him buck or two each, and he'd get up about 30, 40 bucks, and then he'd be like, what do you want me to do crazy? He'd jump off the backstop and eat like glass light bulbs, and he was just this real intense character, super high IQ. He's the person that would go to the library, actually, and read up on all this government stuff, and he's the one that told me about the CIA and the FBI and even the VIA, the Vatican International Apparatus, and he said the VIA is more powerful than anything in the world. So Gabe shows up, and we start hanging out, and I'm going to band practice with him, and I'm doing photos for him and stuff like that, and he goes, hey man, I got these buddies that wanted to sponsor our band. They're called Heathen Apparel, and they have this indoor skate shop downtown Fresno, and I think you'd like it. And I was thinking, oh, this is exactly what I needed. I miss skateboarding so much, it's from my childhood, it's something that I love. And I went out there to the indoor skate park that they had, and the guy that owned the place, well, there was two guys that were in this together, and Josh owned Skate This Ramp and Rail, and Jason started Heathen Apparel, and they were worked together to do both of that. Josh would make the ramps and use us to help him to build these ramps for demos. So we would go do demonstrations basically at sporting goods stores. They'd have a professional skateboard team come in, like Black Label, Crux Trucks, Birdhouse, which is Tony Hawk owns that. And and then Jason was basically in charge of the producing T-shirts. I helped them acquire some screen printing equipment from a guy that owned a magazine called Paying in Pain. It was a zine, that kind of got bigger. Actually, that I had taken photos for. I did one of their cover photos one time. A guy named Louis Barletta. So I kept going back to this warehouse, and I was skating, and I was terrible at first. It's like I'd forgotten everything I knew. My muscle memory was off, and I was falling all over the place. I was the best slammer. I was bouncing off the concrete a lot, but I kept with it, and I kept getting better and better, and I got to where I felt really comfortable on the board again, and I was out going around doing my thing, and I got so into it that I thought, and actually these guys recommended it. They go, hey man, we're doing the apparel, the ramps and all that stuff, but nobody's doing skateboards. Maybe that'd be something good for you to do. And I was like, that's a great idea. I know how to do graphic design. Actually, at the time, I didn't know how to do graphic design. Gabe did. But I ended up transferring into public affairs and learning multimedia illustration, stuff like that, so Photoshop, and a bunch of stuff to do graphics. So I started doing these skateboards, and let's see, I don't want to miss anything. I started making the skateboards. We had a catalog. Oh man, I should have brought that catalog up here to show everybody. But I did the photography and all the graphics for the catalog, and through my skateboard experience, I made some boards, and I collected some boards that were given to me by some pros that I did photos for and stuff like that. Here I missed a part. When I started the skateboard company, what you do when you have a skateboard company, and I can't even really call it a company because we weren't like a registered company. We were just guys skating and trying to manufacture boards and to sell them and keep our traveling going, because we would travel all up and down the West Coast, Oregon, Washington, all the way through California, down to about the border, to go skate San Diego. And the guys actually, when I wasn't around, they would even go out of the state and do demos in Nevada, Arizona, here in Arizona, stuff like that. So I just wanted to go through some of the skateboard decks that I have, and I'll run down and grab that catalog. I know where it is downstairs, and I'll bring that up after these boards. I'll try to hurry. One of the guys that I sponsored, he didn't ride for Nobody Skateboards. He couldn't because he was still sponsored by this company called Colorblind, and his name was Misha Swan, and Misha was like the Michael Jordan of Rotterdam. Holland, that area, and it was really well known. One of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. If you've ever seen the skateboard intro to our full-length video that we were going to do that never happened, he's in that video, and he does some of the most amazing skateboard tricks in that. So this was actually a board that he broke. This is one of his signature decks from Rotterdam, and it's Misha Swan. So it's got the swan there, colorblind. And this was a board he was riding that snapped, because that just happens when you're skating and you do the kind of stuff they do. And Misha gave me that one at a demo. So that's that. This board actually was given to me. I did a full-page ad for Skateboarder magazine with a guy named Ryan Johnson, and we went to Fresno High, which is world famous pretty much. It's been on all kinds of videos. They have a really steep 16 stair with a rail, and to ollie off of that, hit that rail, and really make it down is death-defying. I mean, if you don't land... oh, Kieran's calling me. Kieran Lee Perrin. Hold on one sec. Kieran, how you doing? Hey man, I'm right in the middle of doing a video. Can you call me back in about 15, 20 minutes? Thank you, sir. I hope you're feeling better. I'll talk to you in about 20, okay? Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. All right, I'll talk to you soon. All right. All right, bye. All right. That's Kieran Lee Perrin from UK. I've been talking to him a lot. Wow, what an interesting story. Anyway, so Ryan Johnson decided he was going to go do that 16 stair, and it was for an ad in Skateboarder magazine, actually. And we didn't, I messed that photo up. To be honest, you know, I hadn't had a lot of experience with skateboarding photography yet. I still had this kind of janky setup with the flash, didn't have the remote set up, and, you know, like I would know how to do now. So that one didn't get used. The video got used, thankfully, and that ended up in, I can't remember which video that's in, but anyway, ended up in video. So after that photo shoot, Ryan gave me one of his boards. And so it's Ryan Johnson, and you got the robot with the brain, the little dome right there. And I skated this board for a while. Tore it up. I mean, that's why skateboards are so expensive. If you find a vintage skateboard that isn't torn up like this, that's still got good graphics on it, it's worth a lot of money, because skateboarders don't typically just save a skateboard. They buy it and they go skate it, you know. They don't usually have money to collect that because they're always out skating. So that's the Ryan Johnson. This was actually a one-off deck that we made. And this is a pool deck right here. So see the different shape? This is what you'd want to skate if you're skating a pool or like a vert ramp or something like that. It's a little wider, has more of a surfboard kind of shape. But this was one of our logos. Nobody. It was Nobody Skateboards. And then the question mark, I don't know why that stuck out to me, but one of our logos was like the, you know, the symbol on the bathroom that's like men and women's. I used the symbol from the men's bathroom. I put that guy on there, and he had a question mark as a head. Because I don't know, I guess subconsciously I knew there was something different about me. I didn't know exactly who I was. And that just kind of resonated with me. So that was one of our logos. And this, we actually screen printed this with the t-shirt screen printer. And just made this one-off. Oh, that sticker on there actually, it's Deathbox Skateboards. You know, of course, got the skull and crossbone. I know more about what that means now. But the death box in a pool is the filter, little holes inside of the pool. That's where the water goes into the filter. And when the pool is empty and you skate over that thing and grind over it, you can get your wheel caught up in it. And everybody's calling me right now. Got to answer this. Hey, Brea. Hey, I'm doing a video right now. Can you call me back in a couple minutes? Okay, love you. Talk to you in a minute. Bye. All right. Hey, sorry, this video isn't that important anyway, unless you just kind of want to know about the skateboarding thing. People keep asking me about it, so. Anyway, so the death box, if you're grinding over that and you catch your wheel in that thing, you're going however deep that pool is, 9, 10, 12, 14 feet sometimes, you're going down to flat ground. So they call that the death box, and then they call the pool light. When you go over that pool light, if you catch your wheel on that, it's going to shoot you off course, and you're going down to flat ground, or you're going to hit pretty hard. And that's why they call that. Which actually, that's how I broke my leg. That's how I broke my leg, skating a pool, doing a Smith grind, which I've done thousands of times. It's my favorite trick. Smith grind in a pool, nothing better. Such a simple thing, brings so much joy to me. So I'll save that one for a minute. All right, this is a board that was screen printed too for Skate This Ramp and Rail. And that was just kind of a one-off also for the ramp company. And we would work for these guys a lot, Copeland Sports. And I think they're out of business now, but they would pay the company to come out and set up all the ramps and host a demo basically for whichever pro team came into town. Alright, so we'll get to, now these are the only 2 decks that we mass produced. We did maybe 1,000 of each of these decks, so it was a really small company. We made it through those, and then after that is when I broke my leg. Oh yeah, I broke my leg, and I've got a plate with 10 or 11 screws in the side here, I can't remember, and then there's another screw and a pin on the other side from when I broke that leg. That's those screws are starting to back out now too. I need a surgery to get those out. It's pretty painful. Quite a bit of time. So you're not going to be able to see this very well because this deck has been skated quite a bit. I can't remember who skated this. I think my son was skating this one, so this is one of his boards. But this is actually a graphic that we did. One of our sponsored skaters was a graffiti artist, and he did a piece for this board. And we had these done in Chino, California. And we'd drive from Fresno, go on a skate trip, go to Chino, and pick up our boards. And then we'd stop at skate parks along the way, have a good time. We didn't have a lot of money then, so one time, actually a couple times, but one time in particular, I remember we found this old warehouse kind of complex, looked like it was abandoned, and they had a bunch of trash over on the side, and there was a bunch of stacks of cardboard boxes, so we had 2 vehicles. We pulled in there, grabbed the cardboard boxes, we set up beds for everybody, and we slept out there, and somebody'd stay awake for a couple hours to kind of keep fire watch, make sure nobody was coming to steal our stuff or anything or hurt us. And then that guy'd go to sleep, and the next guy would get up and keep an eye, just like in the military. It was kind of cool. I had fun. And so that one skated. So Andrew did the artwork for that. I did the graphics. I put it into Photoshop. And, you don't always need to use a vector graphic to do graphics. You can do Photoshop and still come out with the same outcome. It's just not as precise because Photoshop is pixel-based and vector is using, damn, I can't remember what program to use vector. Geez, it's been a while. I'm not too good with vector. I don't like it. Anyway, they're just 2 different things. So this is another deck that I designed this one. And this was for Misha. It was like a guest deck. He wasn't sponsored by us 100%, but we made this deck for him. He skated in our video, and he was always with us. And that guy was actually blind in one eye. He only had sight in one eye, so he had no depth perception. But he was still the most talented skateboarder that I've met in person ever. The stuff he could do was amazing. But since he was from Rotterdam, there was a deck similar like that to this one that he had that had a windmill on it, in Holland. And we did this deck, and I'll show you the better version of it. It's not skated. So in Fresno, there's this water tower downtown, and it's a landmark. And everybody in Fresno knows about the Fresno water tower. It's not too big of a deal. It's just that was the old water tower in downtown Fresno, and that's what they used for the water tower. It's still there, so it's a historic place. But so instead of that windmill, I took an image of the water tower from Fresno, which is everybody knows what that is if you're from Fresno, and put that on there. And I've got Nobody from Nobody Skateboards, and then we just kind of put a couple more there. Misha's Lawn. And greetings from Fresno, and then our question mark. Like, Fresno? Where's Fresno? What's up with that? So we're trying to put Fresno on the map there. And Misha signed this one, so held on to that. And then this is the same board, and actually, so one of those demos that we did with Crux Trucks, they had riders like Louis Barletta, Cairo Foster, Caswell Berry, and a bunch of other guys that were really talented. We did a demo at Copeland Sports with them, and Andrew Reynolds. Wait, no, that was a different one. That was a different one. Anyway, yeah, Andrew Reynolds, different America. So we were at the demo and these guys were skating, and I went over to Caswell Berry and I said, hey man, we have a secret skate park that nobody skates but us. There's like 10 of us that go over there and skate. Nobody knows about it. We don't talk about it. We keep it to ourselves, and we built it from the ground up. We all put our own money in, put our own time and effort in. We worked till 2 o'clock in the morning, mixing concrete in a wheelbarrow, forming everything out, forming there's actually part of the video, the intro video that we did for, we called it Valley Rats, because we were Valley and we were just running all over the place. There's probably some other meaning that I don't know about too, because it was recommended we call it that. And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. But anyway, Caswell Berry sitting on the ramp, and he had a sprained ankle. And so he was just sitting there drinking beers, having a good time. And I went up and sat next to him, and I was like, hey man, you guys want to go to a secret skate park, a concrete skate park in my friend's backyard that nobody gets to skate? And in the skateboard world, that's a big deal. When you get to go to a spot that nobody else gets to go to and nobody even knows about, and you can put those photos out there, it's, you know, all the skateboarders like, whoa, that's huge. Where is this place? That's awesome. So those guys were all over it. And so after the demo was over, they all came over to the house, barbecued, hamburgers. Cairo Foster ate like 5 or 6 hamburgers, which is funny because he's skinnier than I am, or maybe not now, but was skinnier than me at the time. And, you know, we drank some beers and had fun and talked and did photos together. And so they ended up signing this board for me, you know, it's the Misha deck. Signed that. And somehow, even though this was signed with a Sharpie and put away in a plastic bag in the closet for years, these signatures somehow wore off. If you've ever tried to get a Sharpie off of something, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of tough. So we got Louis Barletta right there, Cairo Foster right there. Man, I can't even read a couple of these. This is Caswell Berry right here. So that was a good day. Oh, and I ended up, Louis Barletta, when we had this vert wall. It was like a little mini ramp thing that went up completely vert, and then it was these cinder blocks that went up about, I'd say 6.5 feet tall, and it was really hard to get up that wall. And and Louis Barletta went up that wall and did a rock and roll at the top of, and there was only, the wall came up just far enough to get a skateboard over and back out, and I mean, it was within centimeters clearance for his board. So he went up and did a rock and roll, put his board over the top, and then came back down, rock and roll. It's, if you just look up skateboard rock and roll trick or something like that, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's not the toughest trick in the world if you're just on a regular ramp, but when you're on a vert wall like that, it's almost impossible. None of us could believe he did it. And I caught a photo of that, a perfect photo, if I don't say so myself, and it ended up on the cover of a magazine, that magazine called Paying in Pain. So I was pretty happy about that. And then this is the graphic that Andrew did, and it's tough to read, but if you've ever seen graffiti art on a mural on a wall, it's not always the easiest thing to read. So, but it says nobody, N-O-B-O-D-Y, nobody skateboards. We thought that was kind of a funny joke, like, you know, and the theory behind what we were saying was, we're not trying to get famous, we're trying to stay core, which is like a group that doesn't sell out, and, you know, just be real skateboarders. So that was our nobody skateboard things, nobody skateboards. But people would ask us, like, nobody skateboards, everybody skateboards, what are you talking about? So then all the guys on the team signed this one. It's my son. I signed it down here. Got Cole Scroggins, there's a photo of him with Tony Hawk, actually. They were on the news during one of the demos they did in Bakersfield that I unfortunately wasn't there at. Jason McFarland, the owner of Heathen. Josh Hall. Andrew Thaxter. I can't can't even read a couple of these other ones. But anyway, there was a bunch of us that signed that, held on to that. So that's what I have left. So I guess I'm going to run down and get that catalog real quick. So if you're still interested in watching, I'll be back in like 1 minute, if that. And I'm back. I was trying to find a couple of those magazines. They're kind of underneath a stack. So maybe I'll do another video and talk about just the ads I've done in Skateboarder magazine and other skate magazines, stuff like that. But this was actually our catalog, and I knew nothing about a lot of the symbols and stuff that's used. And a lot of different things. You know, if you know what I'm talking about, you'll see some of it here. But this was for Heathen Apparel. This was their catalog. And when we go to promote the items, we take this to a skate shop, say this is what we have available, and then you can order these things. Sorry, I'm out of breath. So we got our catalog, and I did the photography and all the graphic design on this. I laid it out. It gives us a little bio of the team, and then these were t-shirt designs, or yeah, those are the t-shirt designs. And they'd be available in long sleeve, short sleeve, tank top, stuff like that. They could order whatever they want. There's more. And these were skaters on the team here, actually. This is Christian Lamelli. That's Cole Scroggins. This is Kevin Blair. This guy flies F-15s for the Air Force now. I actually wrote his letter to the senator to help him get his commission, to help him go to officer training school. This is Andrew Thaxter. He was one of our main skaters. He was one of the artists that did some of the artwork. That's actually him in this. I designed this. This was our most popular shirt, their most popular shirt. There's Kevin again with the guitar. It's kind of funny because I don't think he even played guitar. That's me. So I clearly didn't take that photo. Actually, you know what? I think I just set the photo up and got in the studio lights and handed it to one of the guys. Said, here, take this. So they did pants. These are jackets. That's Josh. Just doing the photo for the, that's Josh Hall. He owns Skate This Ramp and Rail. This is Sean Seberg. He lives up in Cordes, Washington now. So, but yeah, so there's hats, belts. This is a video for fun, actually, that they made. It was the first full-length video they did. These are some posters that we had, and I took all these photos and these posters. This is Kevin doing a wall ride at the demo with, I think it was E-America, or that could have been the, I'm not sure. It was either with E-America or Crux Trucks that day, I'm not sure. This was a pool that was in my friend's backyard called the Monkey Bowl. It was really tough to skate. Didn't have good coping, but it was really tough to skate and it was fun. Cole getting over the death light there. And this was at the Fresno Lions Skate Park. Andrew doing a huge air with a grab and a sequence right there. I did. So then we had some stickers. Then we had these decks were from my company, Nobody Skateboards, and these were just 4 decks that we offered. And I still have this one, but I didn't show it because the graphics were all scraped off on the bottom. And you can't even really see it. There's a little bio for Nobody Skateboards. And Cole did a thing called Rebel Hardware, so he sold like the screws and bearings for skateboards, and he'd package them up with his label on them. And we had Lucky Luke's curb wax, so when you're skating, a lot of times people wax up a curb so you can grind on it better. And Luke would actually take candles and melt them into these like cupcake tins, and then he'd package them up with Lucky Luke's curb wax. And this is a photo I took, actually we used for that logo, and this is the Clipper. This is a really world famous Hubba ledge in San Francisco that Andrew did a switch 1 foot nose slide down, which I still don't know if anybody's ever done that. Pretty amazing. But and we've got all the contact information there for everybody when we have people that wanted to contact us. So, and then the end of it was I had a lapse in medical insurance. I was out skating at the Clovis Skate Park. There's a really nice bowl there with a good pool coping. I had done Smith grind thousands and thousands of times in that bowl, but I got some new shoes. I always wore Vans. Vans are the best shoes to skate with. And I got some Audios. And I went up to do that Smith grind, and when I came down, I was coming back down the transition. My back foot slipped off of my board, planted on the ground, and basically flipped over my heel. Heel flipped over and touched the side of my calf muscle right here. I remember feeling it flip all the way over and smashing into my leg. And I heard it snap. It sounded like a shotgun going off. And then my buddy carried me out of there, actually, and they tried to call an ambulance. I said, nah, that's too expensive. I don't have insurance right now. So I went home, self-medicated, and made an appointment to go see my doctor. Told them I broke my leg, and they were like, "Oh, we'll be the judge of that." And then I showed up, and they were like, "Oh my God, your leg's broken." I said, "Yeah, no, I told you." So $20-something thousand later, after that surgery, I was completely broke. Had to borrow some money to help with that, and then there just wasn't. I was out of commission for months, and it just kind of ended the skateboard company there. I had to get back to reality and go do some grown-up professional stuff. And when skateboarding isn't unprofessional, but I didn't have the capacity, the capital to do something like that. Keep going, and yeah, that was the end of it. I can't think of anything else. Maybe I'll do another video down the road of just some of the photography I've done in different magazines and different ads and stuff like that. And I hope that answered everybody's questions, because I have had several questions about the skateboarding thing. Like, wait, you're in the military, but you're a skateboarder and you're an artist, and it's call it ADD if you want. But I had a lot of different things going at the same time, and I would never commit to one part of life. Like, I'm a military guy, and that's all I'm going to do, and that's all I want to be known for. And the only thing that makes me happy, I wanted to be a skateboarder too at the same time. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to do all these things. There's lots of hours in the day, and if you time manage and stay busy and keep passionate about what you're doing, you can do that stuff. I even owned my insurance agency during the time I was in the military. Still got a district agent of the year. I guess I'm patting myself on the back here, but people ask, they want to know. I want to provide some evidence and kind of give the story about that whole thing. So if I didn't answer all of your questions about that, ask me in the comments here, and I'll try to go over it maybe in the next video or something like that. So hope everybody has a good day. I need to get to work, and have a good weekend.